and tell the truth. There's power in our vote. It's up to me and you. Take back the mic and tell the truth. There's power in our vote. It's up to me and you. Take back the mic. 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 And tell the truth. And tell the truth. Take back the mic. 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 And tell the truth. And tell the truth. Take back the mic and tell the truth. There's power in our vote. It's up to me and you. Take back the mic and tell the truth. There's power in our vote. It's up to me and you. Take back the mic and tell the truth. There's power in our vote. It's up to me and you. Take back the mic and tell the truth. There's power in our vote. It's up to me and take back the mic. 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 And tell the truth. And tell the truth. Take back the mic. 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 And tell the truth. And tell the truth. Take back the mic and tell the truth. The power's in our vote. It's up to me and you. Take back the mic and tell the truth. The power's in our vote. It's up to me and you. Take back the mic. 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 And tell the truth. And tell the truth. Take back the mic. 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 And tell the truth. And tell the truth. We're not an insurrection. We are a resurrection. The stone that's been rejected by some who've been elected. We're not an insurrection. We are a resurrection. The stone that's been rejected by some who've been elected. We're not an insurrection. We are a resurrection. The stone that's been rejected by some who've been elected. We're not an insurrection. We are a resurrection. A stone that's been rejected by some who are elected. Take back the mic. 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 And tell the truth. And tell the truth. Take back the mic. 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 And tell the truth. And tell the truth. Take back the mic and tell the truth. The power in our vote. It's up to me and you. Take back the mic and tell the truth. The power in our vote. It's up to me and you. Oh, 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 oh,
Brothers and sisters, it's good to see you, but we've got a logistical problem, and we're going to correct it. This stage is not supposed to be here. We can't have a people's movement and block the people. And so I need some quick folk that can move this stage, or can you stand over, ma'am? Can you step this move, please? I need everybody right here, just let me talk to the folks. Because we want to be safe, am I right? Now we keep the cameras, if y'all can move to the side, so the people can, nobody can see past you all on the cameras. I apologize, I don't know who did this, it wasn't supposed to be like this. We always do that side, but we're not gonna have, we need either a podium on this mic right here, facing that way. This is how we always did it. We not new at this in North Carolina, right? And y'all look at that crowd behind you. So if you can, quickly, thank the media. Media, you all can stay in the corners if you want to, so you're still up here, but we need the podium right here. Okay. All right. We need it done in 5 minutes. Somebody say 5 minutes. And we need it done very quickly. All my organizers, y'all know this. It's how it's supposed to be. Now, no, they got it. The organizers got it. Y'all stay back. Let the organizers do it. They're professionals. Now, those of you that are around, we need to make sure this casket, I want it moved right back in front where the people are. See, it's about image, y'all. We ain't out here to show ourselves today. We remembering folk that died. Come on. The Paul Barons, put that casket right there in front of my sister, right there, where Miss Rosanelle's daughter is. We back together, family. Look at y'all. Turn around and look at yourself. It's going all over. Tim, you need a chair? We got one for you. Somebody bring a chair here to Tim Tyson. Y'all, I need you to go to something solemn. This is a solemn service. Now, does everybody have a placard? Like, we need a third reconstruction, pull together, organize, get all placards, and no need to take them home. The sign right there. Come here, babies. Look at these young folk. Give them a hand. Come here, babies. Come on up this way and turn around. Folk can't see it if you're that way. Turn and face that way. Give me something solemn. Go to church, Bill.
This is the front.
I want everybody to get quiet for a second. Family.
You know what I'm saying?
My job today is to simply speak to the nations briefly about what's happening and then turn this mic and program loose to you. But you all remember the Tomorrow Monday movement. We never did anything without folk know what was going on. I want each of the speakers that come to have a sign that says poverty is the for 200, one that says 250,000 people. Where's that sign? 250,000 people a year. 250,000 people. Where's that sign? I need a sign. Say somebody write one out. That's the key one. It's not 2 million goes out to be too low. It's 250,000 a year. Okay. I need folk on both sides with that sign. And then on the back, it should be, we are a resurrection. That sign that brother has right there, we need it up here. A couple of signs like that. Messaging, somebody say messaging. We got to win the messaging battle. Every sign, every song, one band, one sound. We need this same sign on this side. Somebody got that sign? Right here? Yeah, that's good. And then the sign that says we don't need an insurrection, we need a resurrection. Now, thank you. To the nation today, we are gathered at the state capitol in Raleigh, North Carolina, along with simultaneous assemblies in 32 state capitals and the District of Columbia. It is the first time in history that an effort of this sort has been attempted. On the 59th anniversary, out of my sight line, of when marchers were beat on Bloody Sunday, black and white, young and old, for trying to march from Selma to Alabama to their state capital, Montgomery. The 59th anniversary is tomorrow. This is the 60th anniversary of Freedom Summer, when black and white, brown, and other students went to Miami University in Ohio and trained, and then came south to fight for voting rights that they wouldn't even be able to exercise because at that time you had to be 21 years old. But they wanted to build a new electorate to change the political conversation and reconstruct America. We gather today on the weekend before Super Tuesday. It is not a mistake. And we will end today at 1 o'clock so we can all go fight and register and vote early. Since we won it, we ought to use it. That's y'all's victory. It is not a mistake that we are meeting here before the State of the Union addressing Congress, because we intend to drive this issue right into the heart of our politics. We are gathered here at a particular moment in history and in American politics to focus the nation's attention on poor and low-wage people. I recognize and stand in solidarity with a lot of issues that are going on right now. But today is a solemn assembly dedicated to the 800 people who will die today from poverty and low wages. 295,000 people will die this year and have died every year for the last few years from poverty. That's on our own front door. Nobody ever calls their name. Nobody challenges this political violence. The names like Pamela, who called me from her dying bed because she didn't have health insurance. She died from COVID. And said, make me one promise that you all won't quit. Like Jade, who said they murdered her because she couldn't get the health care for the kidneys she needed. And she was treated wrong because she was transgender. And Stanley. All these names I'm calling are people who were with us 3 years ago. And they're dead. Not because God called them home, but because God's policies killed them. If you went to a funeral every single day, it would take you 600 years to attend all the funerals of the people who will die from the ravages of policy violence, poverty, and low wages in America in just 1 year. It would take you 600 years. It would take you 2 years and 19 days to go to all of the funerals of the people that will die today, and oftentimes silence. Nobody talks about them. Nobody talks about this political genocide, policy that's happening right here. But we are determined today to remember their death and be determined to be a resurrection of voting power and voice power like never before. America, on January the 6th, you saw a tired, mean, violent insurrection, but you're getting ready to see a grown-up, powerful, strong, loving, and just resurrection. Keep this mic hot. Those folk that represented by that casket are those that are alive but must be woken up, the sleeping giant, poor and low-wage infrequent voters must be awakened. Poor and low-wage workers who are the most moral people in this country because they go to work every day believing, even though going to work is hazardous to their health. And here's the truth. This may be our last time. This mic, give me the right mic because it sounds like the bad. This may be our last chance to do things necessary to abolish the unnecessary poverty and the abolishable low wages that kills nearly 300,000 people. If we don't get this right and despair sets in, you don't want to see what will happen in a democracy. And that is what opens up the door for demagogues and despots and would-be dictators. Poverty and low wages are violence, deeply, deadly violence. America must face not just poverty in America, but poverty by America. The uniqueness of the poverty here, which is greater than any of the other 25 industrial countries in the world. When Coretta Scott King addressed the Poor People's Campaign in 1968, just weeks after burying her husband that was shot through the neck with a deer rifle, she began by singing, "Somebody's hurting, Lord. Come by here. Come by here, my Lord. Come by here. Somebody's hurting, Lord." And then she said the bullet that killed her husband was only one kind of violence. She then said starving a child is violence. Neglecting school children is violence. Punishing a mother and her children is violent. Ghetto housing is violent. A low-wage job is violent. Denying health care is violent. And an apathetic attitude that won't try to change those things is also. America's political system has a heart problem and a moral problem. When the goal of people in power is to love money, the root of all evil, the goal is power to block wages, power to feed corporate greed, power to say no to health care. It's just wrong. And today you will hear testimony. It's not about me. All I'm setting is the stage. But poor and low-wage workers will lead us today. Their goal is to turn people's ears into eyes. We bring a coffin today to dramatize how dangerous and deadly policy violence is. 800 people a day. When 7 people died from vaping, it was a White House issue, a congressional issue. If the homicide rate goes up 0.5%, poverty kills more people than homicide, respiratory disease, and many other things. The low-wage voices you hear today are living testimonies. Y'all see them? Telling their stories, crying out against the forces of death. Our government's refusal to fully address poverty and low wage, even after the worst days of COVID, is not only killing our brothers and sisters, it is killing our public conscience. How do you go through COVID and over 1 million people die? 350,000 people died, not from COVID, but from the lack of health care. And you don't have a weak memorial, and you can't pass health care in the middle of COVID. That is a damn shame. You call people essential workers, but you treat them like they're expendable. Before COVID, they were service workers. During COVID, they're essential workers. You're essential, but you're not essential enough to have a living wage or paid family leave or health care. I know I don't normally talk like this, but ask your neighbor, what the hell is wrong with that picture? In our campaign across the country, poor and low-wage people, their allies, religious leaders have decided we are not accepting silence anymore. The media blackouts, the silence from our political leaders, 15 presidential debates, not one mention of poverty that affects 135 million people. We are here, we will be seen, we will be heard, and our power will be felt. Turn up this mic. We demand that this nation address the interlocking realities of racism and poverty and ecological devastation, the war economy, and the distorted moral narrative of religious nationalism. We will no longer accept a political narrative and process that is constitutionally inconsistent, morally bankrupt, and economically insane. Refusing to address what's causing so much death is not only bad public policy, it is sin in the sight of God. Isaiah 10 says, woe unto those who legislate evil and rob the poor of their rights and make women and children pray, P-R-E-Y. Deuteronomy 15 says, there need be no poor among you. Not the poor will be with you always. It actually said there need be no poor among you. Matthew 25 says to nation that you're going to be judged. When I was hungry, did you feed me? When I was naked, did you clothe me? When I was sick, did you care about me? When I was in prison, did you care about me? And when I was an immigrant, did you push me back or did you welcome me in? Our refusal in this nation to address poverty and low wages is a violation of the UN's Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Poor people are denied what politicians have access to. All they have to do is get elected, and they get it all. Free health care, plenty of wages. We haven't raised the minimum wage since 2009, $7.25 an hour. And the denial is deadly. So we know what we must do. There comes a time you have to call out the problem, but then there comes a time, and I see people with pictures of folk who've died. There comes a time you got to go on the offense and say, what's in your hand? So we're launching today the most massive voter mobilization and turnout campaign in history of poor and low-wage voters, allies, and religious leaders. Poor wage voters, low-wage people have the power. We must use the power to make, because when politics have made it easier to get a gun than to get food and to get education, to get a living wage, to get a health care, something is wrong. Touch your neighbor and say, we must build an offensive. We need a powerful movement of love and justice and truth rooted in the moral principles of our deepest religious and constitutional tradition. We must say what the Constitution says: establish justice, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare for all power. And that's the only way you're going to ensure domestic tranquility. In other words, no justice, no peace. And our plan is simple. Our plan is real simple. In 34 states, if you can get 200 people to use the best form of technology and the best form of old-time using your feet, knocking on doors, and they will commit to reach 50 people a day, 6 days a week for 9 weeks, you can reach 18,360,000 poor and low-wage infrequent voters. There's not a state in this country where poor and low-wage voters don't make up at least 20% of the electorate. In every battleground state where the margin of victory was within 3%, poor and low-wage people now make up 36 to 41% of the electorate. We have power. You don't hear it on the media. You don't hear them talking about it in the debates because they don't want you to know the power that we have. 34 million eligible poor and low-income voters did not vote in 2016. If just 20% of those voters in swing states were mobilized around an agenda, they could change the political outcome of every election. Watch this. This will make you holler. In Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and North Carolina, the total margin of victory was 270,000 votes. The number of poor and low-wage voters that didn't vote was 4 million. We're not beating up on poor and low-wage folk because the number one reason they say they don't vote is nobody talks to them, and that's true. But what we're saying is if they won't talk to you, it's time to make them hear you. And so here we are. The leading cause of death in our society are things like cancer, heart disease, strokes, and accidents. But the data also says much of that is exacerbated because of poverty and low wages. What we know is we stockpile opportunities into exclusive communities, and we red zone opportunities. And poverty is not an urban issue, black issue, minority issue. 135 million poor and low wealth kids, 54% of black people are poor and low wealth, that's somewhere about 20, 26, 25 million. 30% of white people are poor and low wealth, that's 66 million people. There are 40 million more white people that are poor and low wage than there are black, but black people are 40% more likely to be poor. And so we need a movement. I'm getting ready to turn this mic over. Just move it up a little bit. My voice is a little hard. Movement. And the people must become, the hurt people must become the wounded healers of this nation. We need a movement. With our voices and our votes, we must unify. In Hebrew, the word for voice and the word for vote are the same word. Lift up your voice, lift up your vote like a trumpet. We need a movement to insist that death is no longer an option. Tell your neighbor, death is no longer an option. We need a movement to demand that poor and low-wage people will be heard. We need a movement to lift from the bottom so that everybody can rise. We need a third Reconstruction movement to make this country live up to its promises. We don't need to be an insurrection. We are a resurrection that will be felt across this country. Are you ready? Until poverty is abolished. Are you ready? Until we have living wages and voting rights and workers' rights and labor rights and health care for all. Are you ready? Until we have affordable housing and end gun violence and profit and profilization. Are you ready? Until we have clean air. Are you ready? Until we have fully funded public education and just immigration laws. Are you ready? Until hate and lies and homophobia and anti-Semitism and Islamophobia no longer have the might. Are you ready? Until the extremist political agenda loses its grip and has to go home. Are you ready? Do you realize these bones can live? The stones that the builders rejected can become the chief cornerstone in building a new reality. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, I've been ready. I'm ready right now. Ready to mobilize. Ready to fight. Ready to stand. Ready to move. Ready to organize. Ready. 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 We are a resurrection. And we are ready.
Lift your hands for our leader, Bishop William Barber.
Somebody's hurting my brother, and it's going on. Yes, it's going on. Tell you it's going on. Yes, somebody's hurting my brother, and it's going on. And we won't be silent anymore. Hurting my sister, and it's going on. Yes, it's going on. I tell you, it's going on. Yes, somebody's hurting my sister, and it's going on. And we won't be silent anymore. Somebody's killing poor people, and it's going on. Yes, it's going on. I tell you, it's going on. Yeah, somebody's killing poor people, and it's going on. And we won't be silent anymore. Hurting our children, and it's going on. Hey, it's going on. I tell you, it's going on. Somebody's hurting our children, and it's going on. And we won't be silent, and we won't be silent. And we won't be silent, and we won't be silent, and we won't be silent. No, we won't be silent, and we won't be silent, and we won't be silent anymore.
All right. No justice. Bishop Barber has set the stage for us, and now we are going to hear from our impacted people. We are first going to hear for all the tri-chairs in the movement. We will start with Reverend Wayne Willem, then Reverend Dr. Rodney Sadler, and then Joyce Johnson. Give it up for these three tri-chairs.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Wayne Wilhelm, Tri-Chair for the North Carolina Poor People's Campaign. National call for more revival here in North Carolina. And today, we are gathered here in Raleigh along with 32 other states and D.C., all across this country for our mass poor people and low-wage workers simultaneously State House Assemblies. We have gathered here today to say we will not accept poverty being the fourth leading cause of death anymore. Poverty is abolishable and unnecessary. We know that poverty is a policy choice. Yes. And we are determined to take back the mic from the extremists, raise our voices, and register and cast our votes as demands and wake this sleeping giant. We will mobilize, we will educate and engage 15 million infrequent, poor, and low-wage voters who have not voted in past elections. It's time to wake this sleeping giant of poor and low-wage voters in North Carolina, those who make up over 40% of the electorate here in North Carolina. Yes. On this, the anniversary weekend of Bloody Sunday and the Selma to Montgomery March, and just a few days before the State of the Union Super Tuesday, we are saying from state houses all over the nation, we won't be silent or ignored anymore. Yes. The number one reason poor and low-wage people don't vote is because nobody talks to them or includes them in their issues in public political debates. Over 15 debates in the last general election and nothing said about poverty. There are over 135 million poor and low-wage, low-income people in this nation. Over 52 million low-wage workers who make less than a living wage in their state. Less than $15 an hour. It's time that we come together.
Yes.
It's time that we come together.
Yes.
Not as an insurrection, but as a resurrection. All creeds and all nationalities.
Yes.
All people of faith and people not of faith.
Yes.
People of all genders and people of all races. From the State House to the White House. It's time to own our power and vote like we've never voted before. It's time for us to make some noise from the bottom. Can we come together, North Carolina? Forward together. Forward together.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Dr. Rodney Sadler, Tri-Chair of the North Carolina Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival. In a moment, you will hear about the facts and what our state assembly and legislature, these people right behind us, have done, and why these running our state house to the White House need to know that we are not an insurrection of hate and destruction. Right. We are a resurrection of power and purpose. Yeah. Our state capitals are not just symbolic, they are the policy hubs whose decisions directly impact the people facing systemic poverty and interlocking injustices. America likes to blame the poor for their situation, making poverty seem like a question of morality or laziness or lack of effort or lack of intelligence. America tries to demonize the poor, but we know the truth. Poverty is not the fault of the poor. People that are poor do not choose a living wage that they can't live on. That's right. The poor do not make up cost prohibitive to go to see the doctors. The poor do not make up systems that fail to educate their children. The poor do not make housing unaffordable. Poverty is not the fault of those who are impoverished. It is caused by those who make the policy. State assemblies, state legislators, and the governors make decisions that impact the poor, and it makes these low-wage people suffer for what they decide to do. They impact minimum wages, mass incarceration, immigrant rights, health care, public education, housing, women's rights, voting rights, and more. We are challenging the extremism in state governments, and we are challenging poverty and low wages as the fourth leading cause of death in America. Say that with me. The fourth leading cause of death in America. 800 people a day are dying. It is a moral and economic and social crisis that can be abolished. How can that be abolished, Dr. Sadler? I'm glad you asked. In the Bible, in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 15, it says, there need be no poor among you. That's right. Poverty, low wages, these are bad political choices, and we cannot disengage anymore from the political process. If poor and low-wage people vote at the same rate as others, every political calculation can shift. Reverend Dr. King said at the end of the Selma to Montgomery March, the great fear of the greedy aristocracy in the nation was that the masses of Negro and poor whites come together and form a voting bloc that could change the economic architecture of our nation. Do you think we could do that? Today, it's white and black and Hispanic and Latinx and Asian and indigenous people who now represent more than 80 million voters and over 20 million that have not yet voted. Do you know that the 135 million poor and low-wage workers...
We need to get our speakers up.
Amen. And I think Dr. Barber said this before, but let me say this one thing.
Forward together.
Good morning. I'm Joyce Hobson Johnson, former tri-chair of the North Carolina Poor People's Campaign, speaking today on behalf of our current tri-chair, George Friday, who can't be with us today. But we thank her for all of her powerful leadership.
That's right.
Today, we did not come for just a day. We're still building a movement. But we're come to launch a massive year-long campaign to mobilize poor and low-wage workers to wake the sleeping giant into that powerful, life-giving giant that we are. That's who we were God ordained to be. Poor people and low-wage workers don't have to accept what the current situation is. The primary season is here, and November's on the way. And we are here. We are voting our demands at the ballot box. Look on our website so that you can see all the list of demands. They are your heartfelt desires. I'm not going to list them right now. And we're joined by this powerful gathering of coalition builders. You know who you are. Look on the website again for that powerful list. I see you. You're still coming in the back. But the people united will never be defeated because we are going forward together. Forward, one step back. All right.
Somebody said that we have over 5,000 people and growing. We've got hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people online. We're going to break the internet today all over the country. Does everybody have a fact sheet? Raise up. All of the people, don't take any of this material home. Give it out, give it out, give it out, give it out, give it out to everybody. We need it so we can do what we've got to do. We're getting ready to bring on these low-wage and poor low-wage workers because they are the voice. Say, they are the voice.
They are the voice.
And we want them to be heard all over. Now, we want one quick thing. In the midst, look out for each other, watch out for each other. We may every now and then just drop in a little bit of music, like Do You Want a Revolution? Y'all got that pulled up? We might hit it one time and quit it, but we might do that just to keep the energy going. But look out for each other, okay? Those of you on the stage, please, I'm just like this. Remember, there's not a back on that stage. Y'all scare me. Remember, it's not a back on that stage. So please, please be careful. Tell your neighbor, I came here to take care of you.
I came here to take care of you.
And most of all, I came here to make sure that poor and low-wage people, especially those who are dying, are never ignored again. Let me give you the numbers one more time before the speakers come. In Wisconsin, the margin of votes, the victory was 20,000. The number of poor and low-wage voters that didn't vote were over 1 million. In Michigan, the margin of victory in the presidential race was 10,000 votes. The number of poor, low-wage voters that didn't vote was over 1 million. In Pennsylvania, the margin of victory vote was 40,000 votes. The number of poor and low-wage voters that didn't vote was over 1.3 million. In North Carolina, the margin of victory in the presidential race was 70,000 votes. Over 900,000 poor and low-wage voters did not vote. There's not a state in this country where if we mobilize 20% of poor and low-wage voters that will vote around an agenda that we cannot fundamentally transform this country and this nation. Do you want a revolution? I said, do you want a revolution? Is it on? Are you ready? Are you over there? You got it on? You got it on? Y'all don't have it on? Y'all got to stay with me now. Then sound folk, y'all tomorrow Monday, you got to stay with us. You can't be over there asleep now. No, you don't have it. We're going to come back to it. Let's go, Rob. Let's go.
All right. As Bishop Barber says, we are here to put a face on these issues. And these numbers represent people, and that's what we must understand. And as the impacted people begin to come to speak, I need you to do one thing for me, though. Take out your phone. Everybody take out your phone and text MORAL, MORAL, to 38542. 38542 to become a part of this moral movement to end policy violence and poverty being the fourth leading cause of death in this country. Text MORAL, MORAL, to this number, 38542. All right, let's hear from our impacted people. We will begin with hearing from Jamie Gunter, Union of Southern Service Workers Living Wages. Jamie?
Hi, everybody. My name is Jamie Gunner. I'm with the USSW and I'm a fast food worker. We fight for low-wage working people and for our health and safety. I'm here to let everybody know that we need to vote. And we need to pick the politicians that will help the workers. Back in 2022 was my first time voting. I stood up and casted my ballot because I realized that if we didn't use our voice, nothing will change.
That's
we
right.
need politicians that will stand against these corporations. We need politicians that will stand for the workers. We need politicians that will raise our pay. The price of everything is going up. Our wages should too. I can't barely afford gas just to get back and forth to work. I can't afford medicine. Sometimes I have to skip because of the cost. Some of us can't even live off 2 or 3 jobs.
That's right.
Everybody with a job should have available health care.
Yes.
So that we don't have to worry about our health. The health insurance shouldn't be affordable. It should be free.
Teach us.
How come they're taking so much money out of our taxes, out of our checks, and nothing goes to the things that we need, like health care, housing, or education? And after we vote for the right people, we need to unionize. We need to stand in solidarity with each other.
That's right.
If we stand together and work together, we can make things right for the working people. If we organize strong enough, whoever is in office, they'll have no choice but to meet our demands. So let us unionize and let's get out and vote. We need to vote.
Forward together. Now we're going to hear from Mary Hill, Amazon worker in Garner.
We must wake the sleeping giant. Say it. We are a resurrection, not an insurrection. Say it. We won't be silent anymore. Say it.
We won't. Can everybody hear me? I don't know, but thank you, Reverend Barbara. I'm fired up. Yes, and ready to go. It's time we stood up for ourselves. Nobody else does. My name is Mary Hill. I work at RDU1, Amazon. I'm sure all of you know about it because you probably get packages. I work there, and I am so sick of every day seeing the favoritism, the racist behavior, the unfair treatment that the people in charge, how they treat us. Amazon says that your safety is our priority. That's bull. It's not. Your priority is getting those packages out the door so you can continue to add to that. Listen at this, $7.9 million that Jeff Bezos made an hour. All right. That ain't fair.
Teach us.
If it wasn't for every Amazon associate, he wouldn't have all them zeros behind his name. So treat us with respect. Treat us with dignity. I am also vice president of CAUSE, Carolina Amazonians United for Solidarity and Empowerment. Whoa. We are demanding a living wage. All right. Why should most of the people that work at Amazon work 10, 12-hour shifts, have to clock out, go sleep in their car so they can go to another job? Tell me that. That ain't right.
That ain't right.
We're demanding safer working conditions, better treatment. I don't have 4 legs and a tail. Talk to me like I'm a human being. I'm not a machine. So those of you, and we're demanding $30 an hour, a living wage. We're demanding safer, better working conditions. And we do have a vote. We intend to let you know that. We have a vote.
And my sister, I want to ask you a question while you're at the mic.
Yes, sir.
across the nation, what we're saying is the minimum wage ought to be $15 an hour in the union. The others go up. But can you all say the minimum wage?
Minimum wage.
No less
No less.
than $15 an hour.
$15 an hour.
Indexed with inflation.
With inflation.
That would mean
Yes.
that 52 million Americans
Yes.
would come out of poverty
Yes.
with one vote.
Yes.
Say, we
We
have the power
have the power
to do this.
to do this
In North Carolina,
in North Carolina.
if just
Yes.
18%
18%
of poor
of poor
and low-wage voters
and low-wage voters
that didn't vote
that didn't vote
would vote,
would vote. Yes.
it will change everything.
Everything.
I'm tired
I'm tired
of things staying the same.
things staying the same.
We are a resurrection
We are a resurrection,
and not an insurrection.
not an insurrection.
Next speaker, yes.
Yes, yes. Can I say, please, one more thing.
We got to let the other speaker
voice.
get up, baby.
We have a vote, and with that vote together, we will win.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Love Mary's passion there. Daniel Gregory.
Go ahead, Daniel.
If y'all knew how beautiful y'all look, man. Forward together.
Not one step back.
One more time, please. Forward together. My name is Daniel Gregory, otherwise unequitably known as 088-2375. You hear me? 088-2375. And I'm standing here today to press for a change in our economy, to press for decent housing, to press for equal pay, for equal work, and for us to raise our voices so that they are heard and felt in every corner of this nation. We are the poor, the marginalized, and the underpaid. And we are taking one step forward to say that everybody has a right to live in this free society, and not one of us should face any form of discrimination or systemic racism.
Teach that.
Yet sadly, as I re-entered into society after completing a 13 years, you hear me? 13-year prison sentence that started at the age of 17. You hear me? 17, didn't even know how to live. I quickly realized that these opportunities are not afforded to us. They are snatched from us, allowing 60% of formerly incarcerated people to face the struggles of unemployment, homelessness, from being denied decent housing because they are not allowed to break free of the chains that the state has placed on them, that continuously face limited access to social services and trying to work in a hostile job market without even being paid a living wage.
On that stage, y'all.
We take one step forward saying no more. We take one step forward to say we will be heard. That this economic inequality our brothers and sisters face, working countless hours every day, week in and week out, just to afford their basic housing needs is not how it's not how we view equality, nor is it how we view justice.
Daniel, hey Daniel, we want to thank you, brother. And listen, I'm sorry, it's the parent in me. That stage is not built for a lot of folk. Only the speakers, please. Only the speakers with placards. William, you a speaker. You and Rod and y'all.
Give it up.
But I want to, Nancy, before we move forward.
Okay.
Y'all, we need 200 people in North Carolina that will do this. We need 200. 234 states working can touch 19 million poor low-wage voters every 9 weeks. That means we can do it 4 times before the election. That number says text something moral. Where is it? That number. Call that number out.
I'm gonna call it.
And then we need, if you want to go to work, sign up so you get trained.
38524 I'm sorry, 38542.
Y'all got it? Text moral. One more time, Nancy.
38542.
Now, one more thing, and I'm through.
No.
Rob, no, I ain't. Rob, we are at a state legislature because it's about messaging. We're not at the Congress. If we were at Congress, we would have a different list of demands. But the state legislature controls. They can raise the wages. They can block women's rights. They can block Medicaid expansion. Rob, take 3 minutes. Go to that mic and tell folk what this legislature has done and why most of them wouldn't even be in office if just 20% more of poor and low-wage voters were to mobilize and vote. Y'all, how many of y'all think if you got power, you ought to use it? If you got power, you ought to use it. They're using it for bad. We ought to use it for good. Talk to us, Rob. Then the band's going to hit. Then we're going to come back to our speakers.
Thank you, Bishop Barber. Forward together. My name is Reverend Rob Stevens, a part of the North Carolina Poor People's Campaign and Repairs the Breach, and I'm here to give a quick report card on the North Carolina General Assembly. And I tell you, it ain't pretty. In North Carolina, just last year, the General Assembly again waged war on poor people and low-wage workers. Leadership of both sides of the aisle, of both parties, have been going around this state trumpeting that we are #1 for business in the country. Have y'all heard that? That we're #1 for business in the country. And then Oxfam comes out with a report that says that we are ranked 52 out of 50 for workers. That's hard to do because we're worse than DC and Puerto Rico too. We can't be #1 for business and 52 for workers. We need a revolution of values that Dr. King talked about in this nation that says workers' rights is our business. The NC General Assembly passed a budget this year that will end up with over $13 billion in tax cuts, almost exclusively going to millionaires and corporations. The North Carolina Chamber of Commerce said they didn't even ask for a 0% corporate tax rate. But Morenberger, they gave a 0% corporate tax rate. And then, which is going to end up with tens of thousands in new tax cuts for millionaires, and for people making, median and low income, it's going to be less than $50. And then what they turned around and did is pass $500 million for vouchers to go to schools that can, they say, legally discriminate. We say unconstitutionally discriminate because in North Carolina, we have a right to public education that we don't have in the rest of the country. Public education is going to crumble in rural communities, in poor communities, as they strip money because they do it different this time. The money follows the student. And there are schools right now who don't let LGBTQ students come to their school, who don't let families that don't believe in their white nationalist religion, if you call it that, come to their schools. And then they passed a functional abortion ban for poor pregnant women and pregnant people. Their daughters and their families will be able to go into a different state and get an abortion, but we'll hear about that later. And then turn around and not pass a single dollar for early childhood education. How is that pro-life? Less than 3% of their tax cuts could have filled the modest demands that child care providers, who we're going to hear from today, and we are in danger of losing nearly a third of child care if we don't do something in this short session. That's why we're coming back on April 24th, put it in the calendar. In the face of climate catastrophe, they made it easier to pollute. And then they made it easier to get guns in a state where gun violence is the #1 cause of death for children. And because they know how bad these policies are, they had no other choice but to make it harder to vote. And so that's why they passed this omnibus voter suppression bill, trying to make it harder and harder to vote, because they know that when we vote, we win. We win. Our votes are not endorsements. They are demands. Demands. And we're coming for you. Coming for you. Coming for you on April 24th to welcome them back. Forward together. Forward together.
Hey, y'all. Every movement got to have a rhythm. We're going to organize go-go style. They ain't seen this coming. Raise your hands in the air. And shout, we coming. We're coming. We're coming. Coming. We're coming. We're coming. Hey. We're coming. We coming. We coming. We coming. We coming. We coming. We coming.
want a revolution? North Carolina got the power.
Hell yeah!
North Carolina got the power. North Carolina got the power. North Carolina got the power. Come on, do you want a revolution?
Yeah.
Do you want a revolution? Come on, baby.
I got one. Do you want to own your power? 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 Do you want a revolution? Do you want a revolution? Now wave those placards in the air. Wave them like you really do care. We coming for you. We coming for you. We coming for you. We coming for you.
We coming for you. We coming for you. We coming for you. We coming for you. We coming for you. We coming for you. We ready. 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 We ready.
Good morning. I'm Leslie Boyd from Asheville. 16 years, love you, Asheville. 16 years ago today, it was a Friday. It had been a week and 4 days since we found out my son Michael was dying. His death certificate would say he died from complications of a rare birth defect, but that wasn't the real story. My son was denied care because that birth defect was an excuse not to insure him, and doctors demanded thousands of dollars in cash, which he did not have. He was a low-wage worker. They knew he would die, and it didn't matter. So the truth is that my son died from poverty, the fourth leading cause of death in this, the richest country in the world. I wanted to spend every moment with him, but as a working person, I had limited vacation time. And I was being charged with vacation days every time I had to take him to a doctor's appointment, to chemo, whatever. It meant I was limited in how much time I could take off with pay to spend with my dying son. It was a tricky balancing act. People kept telling me they were praying for a miracle, which bothered me. Why don't we work toward a healthcare system that works for everyone instead of praying for miracles when poor people die of preventable causes? The miracle needed to happen long before he got cancer. He had needed access to screening tests, but no one cared enough to grant that access until it was too late to save him. He suffered indignity after indignity, all because he was poor. And on this day, 16 years ago, we had 4 weeks and 3 days left with him. I will never, ever get over it.
Somebody's hurting our people. And it's gone on far too long. Introduced to you Imam Griggs.
I greet you in the Muslim greeting of peace, Assalamu alaikum, which just means peace be unto you. Brothers and sisters, we're here at a very historic moment in time, especially in U.S. history, because this fusion movement that is being built, has been built, is a refutation of America's original sin. The original sin in this country was to develop a nation based on the exclusive right of the poor and the rich to just rule over and deny access to basic human necessities for all of the rest of us. And so we have to appreciate that this movement that we are a part of has so much historical significance. Appreciate it as we go through this movement. I just want to say just a couple other things and I'll get out of your way. Representing the Islamic Circle of North America and the Community Mosque in Winston-Salem. And that doesn't represent every Muslim in North Carolina or in this nation. But what I can say, that the Muslim community in this country has been victimized by the same policies that everyone else in this country. And one of the victimizations that we don't often think about is for us to believe that we are unworthy of getting and reaping the benefits of the resources of this nation. The Muslim community in this country has a false image to many people. Many people in this country believe that because a segment of our community had been stereotyped as the model minority, that why can't those black folks in the United States take advantage of opportunities like this model minority? And I'm here to say that 1/3 of the Muslims in this country are black folks.
Yes, they are.
And no one can convince me or you that those black folks have so much resources, so many resources, that we need not pay attention. This is a fusion movement.
That's right.
And it's a refutation of everything that this nation has established before us.
Amen. All right.
Amen. Thank you, Imam. Imam Griggs. Imam Griggs. Thank you. In so many ways, we're on the front line together. You were one of the people that said, focus today on this issue. We focus on a lot of stuff, and we've been fighting together, but thank you for coming today, man, to say if we can't deal with this issue on our front door, it undermines our ability everywhere else.
That's right.
Before we go to the next speaker, y'all, we're in the South, and 1/3 of all poor people live in the South, Nancy. 1/3 of all poor white people live in the South. When COVID happened, poor people were dying at a rate already of 800 people a day before COVID. Then COVID exacerbated it. And during COVID, whether you were poor in Appalachia or poor in the Black Belt of North Carolina or poor in West Virginia or poor in the Delta, Mississippi, poor people died at a rate 3 to 5 times higher. The only factor was their poverty. The disease didn't discriminate, but we discriminated in the way we delivered the services. If there are any clergy right in here, because I don't want that are right down in the crowd, I want you to come and put your hand with me on this casket, because we cannot, in the name, in the memory of those who have died from poverty,
Come on, clergy.
unjustly, who should be alive. It's a lie when folks say God called them home. None of them, God didn't call them home. God welcomed them home. And what we know is that when prophets die, the only way to honor them is to pick up the baton.
That's right.
And finish the work.
That's right.
Poor and low-wage folk dying just because they trying are the most moral people in this country. They are the prophets and the soul of this nation. If we forget them, we forget ourselves.
That's right.
We forget God. That's right. We forget God. There's one scripture that says there's a great cloud of witnesses. If you listen close enough in the spirit, you will hear our brothers and sisters call their names that you know that died from the lack of health care. Call their names. Died from poverty. Stroked out because they were working too hard. Call their names. You know them. Call them right now. Whoever they are. Whoever they are. And if you listen real close, like Howard Thurman, you will hear them saying, fight on.
Yes.
Change this. Terrible shot. Don't let this last any longer. Don't sit home. Don't sit out. They killed me. Don't let them kill your vote. And it ain't, we don't even have to do 80%. Just 20% in any state. In their name and in their memory.
In their name.
And if you can denounce this death, then you can denounce all the other forms of deadly things around the world. But we got to do it today.
Amen.
250,000 people a year, 95,000 people a year. And it would take you 600 years of funerals if you went to a funeral every day to go to all the funerals of the people that will die just this year. As long as you and I got life and breath, and a vote could possibly change that,
That's right.
I think we ought to use it.
Amen. Amen.
I think we ought to mobilize it.
Amen.
Coretta Scott King said in one line, "Come by here, my Lord, come by here, come by, come by here, come by, come by here, oh Lord, come by here." Somebody's dying.
Somebody's crying.
Y'all got it? Peace and power. Love you.
Somebody's crying. Somebody's crying. Lord, come by here. Oh, Lord, come by here. Somebody needs you, Lord, come by here. Somebody needs you, Lord, come by here. Somebody needs you, Lord, come by here. Oh, Lord, come by here. Hear my Lord, come by here. Oh, come by here, my Lord, come by here. Come by here, my Lord, come by here. Oh, Lord, come by here. People are dying, Lord, come by here. Our people are dying, Lord, come by here. People are dying, Lord, come by here. Oh, Lord, come by here.
It may very well be that we will be remembered by what we do for them. Our farm workers. Our farm workers need our support. Sylvia's going to come and talk to us about our farm workers.
Buenas tardes. My name is Silvia Zapata, and I am both an alum of Student Action with Farm Workers in Durham, North Carolina, and the executive director. I am here representing our organization and stand before you here as the child of farm workers and someone who has worked in the fields myself, but also as someone who has survived the brutal summer, unlike Jose Arturo Gonzalez Mendoza, who died when working in the fields in North Carolina last September. Labor rights and labor protections impact all workers in North Carolina. The farm worker community is tired of the violence imposed upon us by greed, exclusion, and denial of basic human rights. As farm workers, we experience what living on the margins was like, while also being a vital part of the economy. In North Carolina, agriculture and agribusiness has an economic impact of over $100 billion. None of that would be possible without the hard work of farm workers and all working class people who work in the periphery, as well as the community who depend on the food produced. We are here today to demand justice in the form of a living wage for all, health care for all, full civil rights for all, fully funded education, and a society that cares for our environment so we can continue to provide for our children, like my son Adrian and my daughter Sarah Leah. We embrace our neighbors and support immigration law that brings families together instead of traumatizing and destroying them. We reclaim our humanity as we look toward each other for support and commit to engage and organize our community in civic engagement to compel the necessary changes to see our vision become a reality. That is why I'm in this movement, to take back the mic from extremists, raise our voices and our votes, and make our power felt from the State House to the White House, to wake the sleeping giant and to be a resurrection, not an insurrection. Thank you.
One step back. All right, listen for just a moment. Need everybody to be quiet for just a moment. I want to say this out of love. We disrespect and we dishonor what we're about here today if we leave before we hear from all of our impacted speakers. That's right. Okay? So hold your place. We have a little bit more to go. But each of these impacted speakers deserves our attention and our presence here. That is why we are here. So keep your place as Eric Winston from the Union of Southern Service Workers comes to speak.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Eric Winston, and I'm a worker leader from the Union of Southern Service Workers. And I'm a catering cook for the Durham Bulls. I started organizing because I'm sick and tired of the cycles of poverty that comes from being in the service industry. I am tired of working different low-wage jobs over and over, thinking just working hard will get me what I need. I'm tired of seeing my elders in life struggle to get by doing the same work I do. I'm tired of working 70 to 80 hours a week and still not have money for the necessity of bills. I'm tired of getting sick and not being able to go see the doctor, having to make a choice to pay between rent or the light bill or food or clothes or child support. I organize today because I'm sick and tired of fighting by myself. There's more people in my situation who may not look like me, but go through the same struggles as I do. So I'm here today because 2024 is an election year, and we have the right to have our voices heard at the polls. Our right to vote is a precious right that our ancestors fought for. Many have died for our right to vote. So as for working people, we should only vote for politicians who support the rights of workers, period. We need strong unions and a seat at the table. We need the minimum wage to be raised to a living wage. We need consistent scheduling. We need health and safety on the job. And we need to be protected from discrimination, period. My vote is reserved for politicians who will honor these demands. So, in addition to voting for the right people, I'll say this. We need to build strong organizations and strong unions within our workplaces so we can put grassroots pressure on anybody who stands in our way. We need to build bridges between each other and not let the bosses or politicians divide us. If they try to stop us and their number one tool is racism, then the best weapon we have to fight back is multiracial solidarity. Because when we fight for unity, there's nothing we can't achieve. And you only win what you're organized to take. Thank you.
Man, all right. Thank you. Forward together. Samuel Scarborough and Alexander Durzer are here. UNC March for Our Lives, Gun Violence.
Forward together. Forward together. I said forward together. Forward together. Good morning, everyone. Thank you. I am Samuel Scarborough.
And I'm Alexander Denza.
And we are students from March for Our Lives, UNC, and the newly formed Southern Students Action Coalition. Before we begin, we would like to start with group affirmations. So if you can, lock arms with your neighbor and please repeat after me. I am because you are. I am because you are. We love the earth, which gives us life. We love our community. We bring us joy. We are powerful. We are powerful. We are infinite beings with infinite possibilities. Give yourselves a round of applause. Now, over the years, I've seen some argue that the United States is a city on a hill. I agree with that. But what those folks fail to realize and acknowledge is that this country is not on the hill of freedom and justice as it stands. Our nation rests on stolen land. This nation sits on the back of my enslaved ancestors, our sharecroppers, our migrant workers, our convict laborers, our Amazon workers, our healthcare workers, our public school teachers. Oh, our nation. Our nation lives on the rubble of communities ravaged by colonization, like Tulsa, like Palestine, Wilmington, Haiti, the Congo. The list goes on and on and on. I understand. The American government is exceptional in the pain, death, and destruction it brings to this world. I don't believe in America as it stands, but I believe in everyone here. I believe in us. When I look out, I don't see the city on the hill.
I see us. We are the people that will mobilize to the polls. We are the people that will mobilize millions to the polls. But we know that this is a first step because we determine our future. We free ourselves. We will not accept business as usual. We will boycott businesses that harm. We will unionize our workplaces and we will build institutions of care. We've always been told to be reasonable, but we will demand the unthinkable. Students across this country will not stand to the side as injustices attempt to assert dominance. No, we will march with you. Our efforts have always been intertwined. In our community, we are building the Southern Students Action Coalition, remembering the work done a generation ago by those in the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. Remembering also that institutions ravaging our education system are the same ones eviscerating the healthcare system, spending billions on weapons for the war machine, and handing out poverty wages. We must put our foot down and say no more.
All power to the people. All power to the people. All power to the people. All power to the people, because the people have the power. It's our demands. It's our say. We have the power.
These young people have the power, Al. All right. Reverend Suzanne Parker Miller, Pastors for North Carolina Children, fully funded education.
Good morning. I'm the Reverend Suzanne Parker Miller, and I'm Director of Pastors for North Carolina Children, where we mobilize faith communities to advocate for public education. As you are aware, public schools are under attack in North Carolina from the legislature, who wants to privatize this most important good. The Education Law Center ranks North Carolina as 49th in the country in funding effort, which is the amount of money we put into public education compared to our state's economy. We have the money, we just don't spend it on our schools. The Network for Public Education this week just gave North Carolina legislature an F again for supporting public schools. They just aren't supporting them. Nelson Mandela once said there can be no keener revelation of a society's soul than the way in which it treats its children. And this is as true today as it was then. While our legislature denies our children their North Carolina constitutional right to a sound basic education, our most vulnerable children suffer the most. These most vulnerable children are our Black, Brown, and Indigenous children, our children who are living in rural areas, who are learning English, who have disabilities, who are pre-K, and our poor children. Instead of supporting these children, they send their attention to private tax vouchers. We need to vote differently and fund public education. Lead with Leandro, forward together, not one step back.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
Come on, Xavier Boston from Equality NC. Give it up for Xavier.
Thank you, thank you. My name is Xavier. I use they, them pronouns. I am Black and trans. Siblings, comrades, and allies. 1 in 5 LGBTQ plus people live in poverty. 2 in 5 trans people live in poverty. Audre Lorde wrote, "There is no thing as a single issue struggle because we do not live single issue lives." I come to you not with honeyed words of reform, but with a fist raised high, a voice echoing the thunder of justice denied. For too long, our poor and trans kin have walked in the shadows, their very existence questioned, their bodies policed, their spirits ostracized. But hear me now, the tide is turning. Like Malcolm taught us, we shall overcome. Like Angela declared, we are an army of the righteous. And in this army, there is no room for bigotry, no tolerance for hate. Trans rights are not a fringe concern. They are a part of the beating heart of the struggle for liberation. Every trans brother and sister denied their truth is a shackle on our collective freedom. They call us deviants, freaks, abominations. They spew their ignorance from pulpits and podiums, spew it through screens and loudspeakers, drowning out the symphony of our souls. But let them choke on their hate. We are the children of Stonewall, the heirs of Marsha P. Johnson, the echoes of Sylvia Rivera's deviant roar. We will not be silenced. Our bodies are battlegrounds, comrades. Every scar, every mark of discrimination is a testament to our resistance. Our fight, we fight not for acceptance, but for affirmation. We fight for the right to define ourselves, to carve our own destinies, to exist in this world, not as a tolerated anomaly, but as a vibrant, powerful member of the human mosaic. They tell us to bend, to fit into their narrow boxes, to dim our light for their comfort, but we are the revolutionaries, the architects of a new dawn. We shall not shrink, we will not apologize, we will not conform, we will paint our flag on the canvas of reality. This is the colors and sear them into their blindness. This is not a call for pity, family, this is a call for arms. Stand with us, trans rights are human rights, people to the power.
People to the power. All right. I want everybody collectively to call out the name of a teacher that made a difference in your life. All right, we're going to hear from Josh Nixon, who is a teacher.
Hi, my name is Josh Nixon, and I serve on the State Committee for the North Carolina Poor People Campaign. But I'm also a father, and I'm a public school teacher, and I see firsthand every single day the way that policies to hurt the poor are affecting my coworkers and, more importantly, my students. Last year, while the governor proclaimed a state of emergency for education, the majority of our state lawmakers said loudly and clearly that they hate education workers and they hate our students. They tell us that they care about protecting children and protecting families, but we have to call their bluff. Because you can't say you care about children and families when you offer tax cuts to the rich, but refuse to fully fund our schools. Also, you can't say you care about children and families when you won't give education workers an actual raise so we can afford the food and housing and healthcare that our families need. And you can't say that you care about children and families while passing laws that target LGBTQ plus students. From my own sad experiences with students to the tragic news out of Oklahoma last month, I know that anti-gay, anti-trans laws that North Carolina passed right here last year, they aren't just part of the culture wars. They are a matter of life and death, and this General Assembly has sided with death. And that's why today in our state capitol and through to Election Day in November, we must refuse to back down until our demands are heard. We can't let our families and the people we love die to poverty. We won't be silent anymore.
Yeah. Hey, they say teachers enlighten us. Look up, y'all. The sun's coming out for us today. It's coming out for us today. We need you to be a part of this movement. Go to ppc-nc.org. You can join the Poor People's Campaign Coordinating Committee here in North Carolina. Find someone who's a member, sign up. They meet on Thursdays evenings. You're welcome to bring your dinner and your kids. Next, we're going to have a spoken word, and you are going to appreciate this. So listen up.
Can these bones live? I will make breath enter you and you will come to life. It is why I will sacrifice. When you go into the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, but look evil in the face. Careful, the sleeping giant awakes and speaks to those that are neglected and speaks to those that are rejected and speaks to those unprotected and speaks to those that are affected. We have been disturbed, but I will stand on his word. That is where he will restore it, my soul and power. We welcome you to the moral revival as a resurrection, not an insurrection. Take action. You see, we the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, must make our voices count. Count the times that you've been counted out. When you felt that your cries were unheard, what happened to the dream deferred because you would rather refer us to be baptized in waters that aren't environmentally clean? When the polluted air suffocates our suffering, I cannot breathe. As a matter of fact, my health care doesn't even cover that because my job doesn't offer insurance, ensuring that I better not get sick, because that means to pick between food or meds. Both says I cannot afford to pay you $15 an hour. We will keep you in poverty and control the economy so we can stay in power. Adequate housing? You're asking too much. Healthcare for all? No one's heard of such. Fully funded education? My pearls I clutch. Suppress workers' rights? Sorry, we're out to lunch. Pro-life until the child is born? You said what? Gun laws and immigration? Now that I wouldn't touch. But when two or more is gathered, we touch and agree. Accident will be given. I declare, I decree. Realizing we have the power. You can't suppress votes. That right is ours. This Pentecost was for a coast so we can all be free. Because when I was at my deathbed, did you bother to come rescue me?
Give it up, the spoken word. That right there is a preacher now. We have just a few more testifiers on why we're demanding our elected officials end policy murder. Let's hear it for Sangria Noble from Repairs of the Breach.
Hello, everyone. Forward together. Forward together. Hello, everyone. My name is Sangria Noble. I am an organizer with Repairs of the Breach, and I'm standing here with my 9-year-old, Alina, and my 11-year-old, Ella. And yes, so I could come at us in a lot of different ways because I'm poor. So I'm impacted in most of all these areas we all are standing here for today. But today, my girls and we're standing here. Really, this is my daddy in this box. This is my daddy's funeral. This is the funeral that I have to give to my daddy. When I was their age, my mom died and I lost my dad to the system, to poverty, to the system. When I seen my dad again, I was about 16 years old when my dad came back out of prison. Mom gone, dad gone too. Dad came out with cancer. He contracted it inside of the prison system. Lack of health care. Okay? By the time I was 29, 30, my dad went back, re-entered the system, and died in the system. The bad part about it was I was in the system. I am directly impacted. Okay? I'm directly impacted 2006 to 2009. Since we're reciting our opus numbers, 0801337 is what the state considered me to be. Okay? 0801337. So therefore today, I'm able to lay my father to rest. Because when my father got shipped to me, his address is the prison address, a small box. That's what I look at daily when I walk through my door, my dad in a small box. That's what these children look at. That's the result of poverty. That's the result of poverty. So that's why I'm here today. I'm here today to lay my daddy to rest and to help save others, okay? And now we're going to ask y'all to help us help ourselves. Thank y'all for coming.
Forward together. From Forward Justice, working on voting rights and criminal justice, Caitlin Swain. Welcome, Caitlin.
Forward together. Not one step back. Forward together. Not one step back. If we can change North Carolina, we can change the South. If we can change the South, we can change this nation. We come here together today not to talk about the old story. The old story of the last 10 years here in North Carolina since the Voting Rights Act was intentionally gutted, just as we were expressing our joint power for a multiracial democracy. We know that story. It's not creative. It is an attack on the freedom to vote. It has been recycled in each period of our history. The new story is the story of this movement. The new story is the story of the Second Chance Alliance, the Poor People's Campaign. It is the story that we are telling today. North Carolina is home to 3.5 million poor and low-income eligible voters who make up 41.5% of the electorate. There is the electorate that is, and then there is the electorate that should be. We will not stop fighting until all of our people are included in We the People in North Carolina.
We're here to hear from low-wage workers, and we're going to hear from Nina Haywood right now, who has just lost 2 low-wage jobs and struggling to make ends meet. Come on.
Hello, everybody. My name is Nina Haywood, and I was working 2 full-time low-wage jobs just to make ends meet. I was always tired. I went and I got my CNA license, and I was doing that until my back couldn't take it anymore. And I don't know if you know, it's very hard work for very little pay. People pay more for someone to flip their burgers than they do to flip their parents. It's sad, and I went through it, and I'm still going through it. When it was time where I couldn't do it anymore, and I had went to school for it, and I'm thinking, I got to do what I have to do in order to take care of me and my children. I had to make a decision. I had to find other employment where I didn't have to work so strenuously and break my body down, because we only get one. We only get one body. So I started working at 2 low-wage jobs. I was always treated like I was disposable. I wasn't a value. I wasn't important, because if they fire me, they'll just hire the next person, because we have to take these jobs because you have to make some money, regardless of whether you like the pay or not. You either not work and not make anything per hour, or you accept the 11, the 12, the 13. You can't live off 11, 12, or $13 an hour. It's not possible. You literally would have to live in the bottom of the barrel. You would have to listen to gunshots and violence. And I don't know if you know, but I went through a very, very, very traumatic situation as a young girl. I was shot 4 times, and my dad was shot and killed. I can't comfortably live in those areas anymore. I won't get any sleep, and I need sleep to get up and go to work. So it's nothing but a reoccurring cycle of hopelessness. You don't know what to do. You don't see a way out. Like you wondering, like, how am I gonna get through this? And so when you have these rallies, you have these campaigns saying, hey, we need to do something about the poverty. I'm speaking. It's me. I'm that person. I'm the face. I'm the one. I'm the one that struggles. I'm the one that works very hard and comes up with nothing. I'm the one that has to make very bad decisions because it's like, well, what do you do? Like, if I don't work these jobs, I can't feed my kids. I can't feed myself. And everybody knows that's a mother or a father that has children, that you're always going to put your children first. Sometimes even when you don't eat yourself. You know what I mean? That's right. So that's where I'm at. And I want to see a change. I want y'all to understand that poverty is the leading cause of death. That's sad. A situation, not an actual occurrence, is the leading cause of death. Okay, we won't be silent anymore.
All right, hang with us. We got 8 more minutes here. Catherine Medina, child care worker.
All right. Hi, my name is Catherine Medina, and I work every day to care for our community's most precious resource, the children. Childcare is hard work. And if you don't believe me, I got a couple of kids y'all can watch right now. But our government refuses to fund early childhood education the way it needs to be. That means me and my colleagues are low-wage workers, and even though we're doing some of the most important and hardest work in the state, I struggle every day. And I say that as a teacher and a mother. Our small business childcare providers do their best to squeeze out the most they can for our wages. They've been squeezed too much, and centers are shutting down because of it already. If North Carolina General Assembly doesn't act in the next session and fund early childhood education like it needs to, hundreds of centers will close. What are you gonna do when your workers do not have childcare? Is it good for the business if money is all that you care about? That's right. I have watched politicians refuse to raise the minimum wage to a livable wage. I know people who struggle and have died from the weight of poverty. This must stop and be ended. This is why we poor and low-wage people must vote. Our votes do not simply support personalities, individuals, and parties, but demand policies and moral change.
Forward together. Representing UE 150, Sakia Royale.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Sakia Royal, and I am a state worker at a state facility in Goldsboro, North Carolina. And I'm also the president of UE Local 150, the Public Service Workers Union here in North Carolina. We represent over 5,000 city and state workers at workplaces in 16 counties across the state. Our members are struggling right now more than ever. State agencies have grappled with the crazy high vacancy rate between 20 and 25% since the COVID pandemic. Currently, the vacancy rate is at 23% in our state facilities. That means for every tax dollar that you pay, only 77 cents of services go out to our patients. But equally bad, us workers are really struggling to hold on to our jobs. We are burnt out from working overtime and have not been recognized for our work to keep the state afloat. But vacancies are even worse in the Department of Health and Human Services, where many hospitals have closed entire wings and units and are treating less and less patients. They are paying us right. They are not paying us right to treating us right. So many amazing workers have left in the last few years. We have been demanding that the state workers get paid $20 an hour or at least a 20% raise to survive. Yet the legislators act like they can't even pay us that. They would rather prioritize corporation billions of dollars in tax breaks that the Chamber of Commerce didn't even ask for. But most of our members have to work 2 and 3 jobs. Myself as well, I have to work a second job just to stay afloat. Every year we have less and less time. In the city of Durham this past September, our members of the sanitation department said enough is enough and refused to roll out those trucks for the last 6 days. They are fighting to raise their wages of the city workers up to $25 an hour, and our members in Charlotte won a maximum pay of $22 an hour. We have city and state workers, especially cities across this country, this state, that we can't even afford to live in. We give our services to the city and we can't even afford to appreciate or that we can't even afford to live in. So we just say we stand together, and if these politicians do not have our interests, then we vote them out. Forward together, not one step back.
Tara and Kelsey, our last, I think, speakers are going to come and talk to us about pro-choice North Carolina.
Hey y'all, thank y'all so much for being out here today, taking your Saturday. I am Tara Romano, and I'm with Pro-Choice North Carolina, and we make sure that people have what they need if they want to access abortion, contraception, or quality pregnancy care. And we are here because economic justice is reproductive justice. It is by design that when politicians attack abortion access, they often start with laws that impact poor and low-income folks first, such as banning insurance coverage and requiring multiple visits over multiple days for a simple and common procedure. They have forced low-income communities to bear the brunt of reproductive injustice. Rose Jimenez, a young Latina mother and student, died in Texas of an unsafe abortion 4 years after Roe v. Wade in 1977 because anti-abortion politicians passed the Hyde Amendment. So she was barred from using her Medicaid coverage to pay for an abortion. She turned to an unsafe abortion and she died, bearing the brunt of reproductive oppression. Cynical politicians see this ideology as a way to get votes and to build their own political power. And with that power Do they make good on their campaign promises to, quote, protect babies and mothers and foster a culture of life? Absolutely not. They use their power to make the rich richer, including themselves, and to demonize and blame poor and low-income families, all while robbing families across NC of what they need to thrive. You cannot claim to care about families and a culture of life and then do everything in your power to rob people of equal access to resources and to force them to live in poverty. Reproductive justice is about supporting all families to live in dignity, autonomy, and with abundance, free from policy, state, and interpersonal violence. And that's why we're here today, to share our vision of reproductive justice with all of you. Lastly, voting rights are reproductive rights. Make sure you vote in all races in every election, including on Tuesday. Thank you. All right, Kelsey.
Hello, my name is Kelsey McLean, and I'm here to tell my abortion story. But I can't let this opportunity go by without speaking out against one of the greatest reproductive justice crises that has happened in our modern time, and that's what's happening in Gaza right now. It is incredibly dangerous for a pregnant person in that area right now. People are having to have C-sections without anesthesia. Infants are dying without incubators and access to food, water, milk, formula. So I didn't prepare that as part of my speech, but exactly. So it's really important that when we are including our calls to action, that a call for ceasefire and demanding our elected officials that get our votes, demand a ceasefire now. I personally have been impacted by what we're dealing with here in the country when I tried to access my own abortions, so I can feel just an inch of a degree of the frustration that people in Gaza are feeling with their inability to access any reproductive health care. When I first needed an abortion, I had lost my job, waiting tables. I was facing eviction. I couldn't survive, and I was living off of unemployment, which maybe covered a quarter of my needs. Abortion was inaccessible to me, and this was before the Dobbs decision. Abortion access is directly determined by your income and where you live in this country, and that should not be. So what can we do? We can share our abortion stories. We can destigmatize abortion and demystify that access. Speak out about self-managing abortion with pills, and vote every opportunity you get with abortion liberation on your heart and your mind. Thank you.
Give it up for these speakers. Give it up for Reverend Dr. Nancy Petty. She has the hardest job of all. It's hard, but we do that because we want to get as many folks to speak as possible. Because we know that these issues are combined, and while we don't need to do everything together, we ought to do some things together because these issues are intertwined. We have our last speaker, and then we're going to be blessed by our elders of the movement before we close out with the dance party. So y'all better stay for that with Sister Yara and a call to action. How many of y'all are free on Monday? Yeah, those who raised your hand have a lot of trust. We need to come back here on Monday to deliver our announcement that we're coming on April 24th. So at Monday at 11 a.m., we'll be back right here in 2 days. Get some rest. And we're going to be delivering our letters to the offices of the legislators. They're coming back to session on April 24th, but we want to let them know that we're coming and what we expect them to do. So any of y'all, can y'all come on Monday at 11? Hey, check your calendar or just show up. But how many of y'all can come on April 24th when they come back for the general session? Wonderful. All right, we're going to Miss Patty as a special guest of Bishop Barber to come forward quickly, and then we will close it out.
Quickly. It's me or the dance party. We got to get going here. It's my honor and pleasure to be with all of you today. It's overwhelming, and it's fucking fabulous. Oh, so I have the honor of working with Bishop Barber at Yale University, and no surprise to all of you, he has shaken things up in New Haven, Connecticut. So it's fabulous that you're all here. You're going to mobilize. You're going to vote. You're gonna vote? You're gonna vote? Well, I'm here to inspire you to run. Run for office. Replace these people, right? If they are not representing you, how about you get trained? Come to us, the campaign school at Yale, and be trained by the best, and take over that building behind you. I talked to a lot of fabulous, mostly women today, a lot of great guys who can easily replace whatever's happening back here. You have a responsibility to not only vote, mobilize, but think about running. I told Bishop Barber, I'm happy to come back and do a training. Who's going to join me? I want to see your hands. So I have a poem from a feminist American queer poet, L.R. Nost. Have any of you heard of her? She's amazing. Do not be dismayed by the ruggedness of the world. All things break, but all things can be mended. Not with time, because we're out of time, but with intention. So go, lead intentionally, love intentionally. Give your light to our broken world. Thank you.
Give it up, give it up. One reason we're going to close now is because early voting ends when? What time? Oh, that's good. It is 3 o'clock. So many of us after this are going to drive over. I'll be driving over to Chavis Park. All right, if you want to walk, you can. When we first started HKNJ, we walked from Chavis Park all the way here. But we're a little older now, can't make it as far. Speaking for myself. But we're going to Chavis Park at 3 p.m. If you haven't voted yet, if you're not registered and you live in Wake County, you can register and vote on the same day. And then we'll be back here on Monday to remind people about Election Day, which is Tuesday, November 5th. So please, I want to invite Reverend Dr. Nelson Johnson of Beloved Community Center, Reverend Dr. Cardez Brown of Greensboro, and the Justice Coalition USA to bless us and to know that we are being held up by many who have come before. So if you would please come now. Give it up for Reverend Johnson and then Reverend Brown.
You're going to pray. Brothers and sisters, and all people beloved, this is a great day in Raleigh. That's right. Because we are here. Yeah. It is a great day in Raleigh because we have come with deep determination to hear the truth of the situation in this nation and to arm ourselves to carry that determination into the voting booth and shift the direction of this country. That's right. Yes, these are difficult days. Our nation is teetering on the brink of pulling itself apart. These are dangerous times as some in our nation are fanning the flames of hatred and falsehood and confusion and division. All of this is done in the service and the interest of exploiting the poor. That's right. Of jailing young men and women, consigning many people to live in dilapidated housing without adequate food and too often without adequate care. That's right. This does not have to be. And as we grow toward a close on this marvelous day, it is a result of systemic policies and the abuse of people who are rendered less than people. That's right. So I'm glad we are organizing and standing together. I'm glad because education workers are standing up I'm glad because workers at the airport are standing up. And I'm glad because a lot of young people who serve us food in these restaurants are not being paid adequately and treated properly. I'm glad that they are standing up. And I want to say when we stand up and when we stand together, that things change. And so I want to say in the words of my ancestors, slave ancestors, so I want to say in that spirit, walk together, children, and don't you get weary. Walk together, children, and don't you get weary. I said, walk together, children, and don't you get weary. Because there's light on the other side of darkness. I want you to know today that there's hope on the other side of what seems hopeless. And there's victory on the other side of all of this oppression and exploitation. Walk together, walk together, walk together. Victory will ultimately be ours.
So grateful I am today to be here and to witness this marvelous gathering. I just want to say this and I'll be through. Take one moment and look at the person beside you. What you just looked at is a divine uniqueness. There's not another one of who you just looked at on planet Earth other than the one you saw. That's how creative our God is. He's never had to duplicate. And each of us are declared to be in his image. And we are marvelous in his sight. But the Bible says we are wonderfully and marvelously made. Don't you forget that. It's not just about you. It's about all of us. You've seen the aesthetic. You've seen the outside. But for everyone you've looked at, there's someone you could not see on the inside. And that is the holy place where we really reside. How we reason, what touches our emotion, our memory, our imagination, and our conscience. The things you see are temporary, but that which I just described is eternal. Hold on and don't let go of your faith. Forward together. Forward together. Forward together. And not one step back.
Today, I am Reverend Dr. Hannah R. Broom, Director of Religious Affairs for Repairers of the Breach. I stand before you with a call to action, a call that resonates with our shared commitment to justice, equity, and the prophetic tradition that guides us. We find ourselves at a pivotal moment, a time where our collective voices and actions can significantly impact our society's fabric, weaving together a tapestry of hope, resilience, and a transformative change. I invite you, our faith communities, our faith leaders, to join an inspired collective of 200 individuals dedicated to organizing and mobilizing our communities. This initiative is not just about numbers, it's about harnessing the power of our faith, our shared values, and our commitment to justice to enact real, tangible change. It's about embodying the prophetic voice that calls for action in the face of injustice, that uplifts the downtrodden, and that seeks to heal our divided world. By joining this prophetic council, you become a part of the movement, a movement grounded in the rich traditions of all of our faiths, committed to the principles of love, justice, and solidarity. This is our opportunity to live out our faith in the public square. We're not going to be held hostage by stained glass windows that separate us, but we're standing in solidarity on today at the public square. We're demonstrating our power. I urge you to consider the impact we can make together. Imagine the power of 200 faith leaders and community members coming together to unleash the power in our communities. So if you want to be a part of that movement, if you want to be a part of that power, if you want to lift up your prophetic voice in the public square, meet me behind the stage and let's join together. Sign up for this movement. Forward together.
All right, Bishop, can you speak?
Hello, can they hear me?
Yes.
I want a couple of things. Let me issue a little bit of correction, Reverend Broom. What we need is not 200 faith leaders to be in the public square. What we need, rabbis, imams, and Christian ministers, Sikhs, Unitarians. You have a constituency. We need people from your constituency to help us pick up the 200 people that are going to do this hard work. I want you all to be clear. I had to leave because I have a sinus infection and I'm trying to manage it. This is not a rally, it's a launch.
That's right.
Say that to your neighbor. This is a launch.
Uh-huh.
This is not the end. This is a launch. And we launched in 32 states. Now we have to go to work.
That's right.
We got to prove we're going to do what we said. Because right now, the power structure is saying, okay, we're going to see if they're going to just get out. We can do all the phraseology and hollering we want to. But your loudest holler is going to be mobilizing 20% of this vote that has not voted.
That's right. That's right.
A political vote will destroy this democracy because political votes just follow the same old calculations. That's why the news is already saying they know what state is red. They don't know what state is red or yellow because we've never really turned people out to vote. They've never seen the masses. They don't know what's red, yellow, or blue. And what we have to have is a movement vote now where the calculators can't figure it out. Because so many people come to the polls that they don't expect, they'll have to say, who are these? And we'll say, these are they who have come up through hard trials and tribulation. And we need a mixture of poor, low-wage workers, of people of faith, people not of faith, but believe them all, to now get trained. We don't need 2,000, we need 200 a state. Now we take 1,000, but we gotta have 200.
Uh-huh.
You got to sign up today. And then you're going to have to go to class. We're going to have a class and learn this technology because we're going to use technology and turf. Say technology.
Technology.
And turf.
And turf.
Now, the technology will allow us to cut what's called turf. We know where all these votes are. We know how to get to them. We know there's social media. But you have to have people that work the technology. And then turf is also knowing where we can go knock on doors. The number one reason poor and low-wage voters don't vote, Brother William told y'all, was nobody talks to them.
Yeah. That's right.
It is a proven science that if folk talk to poor and low-wage voters, they tend to turn. In Georgia, in the runoff after the election, we went down and we touched every poor and low-wage voter in that state twice before the second after the general election. We now know that if you pull out the number of poor and low-wage voters that responded to our call who voted, they were 3 times higher than the margin of victory. I hear you listening.
Yes.
This is a launch. What we need in North Carolina, the last marginal vote was, I'm a numbers guy. It was 76,000 votes was the difference between Trump and Biden. I can say that. That's not partisan. That's just a fact. 76,000 votes. That's 760 votes per county. In a state where 1 million poor and low-wage voters didn't vote, and 40% of the state makes less than $15 an hour. That's why we didn't put other issues on the table today. We'll put some issues when we deal with Congress. But today we wanted to do, every issue that's on our agenda today are those that resonate with state and state legislatures can impact and poor and low wealth voters care about. Living wages, health care, ending poverty, forfeiting cause of death, fully funded public education, affordable housing, ending the proliferation of guns, the profiteering of guns, protecting a woman's right to vote, because now the State House can take a woman's right to vote, and who gets hurt the most? Right to her body, who gets hurt the most? Poor women.
That's right.
Right? And so everything is strategic. Somebody say strategic.
Strategic.
You know, I stand up on a lot of issues, but I recognize I don't have to do Genesis to Revelation every time I get up. And this is a strategic move. It's something that hasn't been happening, but we've been having a lot of rallies, but we have not rallied our voters. We've left 23 million of our folk out of the ballot box every year. And if you do that, you're never going to force them into political debates to talk about you. Dr. King said it. He said, the greatest fear of the greedy racist aristocracy in this country is for the masses of poor Negroes and poor white folk to get together and form a voting bloc that can fundamentally reshape the economic voting bloc. He said, every time they have threatened to do this, go to the speech he did at the end of the Selma Montgomery. Every time they threaten to do this, they kill the leaders or they've undermined it through division.
Yep.
This time it won't work.
Yeah.
And look at that crowd out there. Look how diverse it is.
That's right.
Right? Now, I can promise you some of the media still ain't going to report it right today. And that's okay. They'll get it after a while. But we got to stay focused. And if you can build consciousness around this, it will help build consciousness around all the other issues.
That's right. That's right.
Because if I have 250,000 people a year dying on my front porch, and I jump over them and don't talk about something else, that says something about me.
That's right. That's it.
And so what Hannah needs you to do is, if you're a clergy person, you got a constituent, come behind stage, meet with her for a second, because we need some of your people. We need 200. I want y'all to keep saying them. And think about it. When you're going to knock Goliath down, you don't need 50 rocks. Get 5.
Yeah.
Four of them are for his brothers and cousins.
Yeah.
One for him. We need 200. Think about that. Just 200 people in 34 states can touch 19 million voters in 9 weeks. 19 million. That's 4 million more than the 5 million we're talking about, 15 million we're talking about. So brothers and sisters, we're getting ready to go to righteous resurrection, and we're going to be in the army. I close with this, and then y'all take it from here. There's a scripture in the Bible, in Ezekiel, where God says to Ezekiel, your politicians have become like wolves.
Yeah.
And they are devouring and eating the people to death.
That's right.
But what is worse is your prophets are lying to them and telling them it's all right. And there's an unholy alliance between the mean politicians and the lying prophets.
That's right.
And because of that, injustice is at pandemic levels. This is actually in the scripture. Ask Rodney Sanders. He's an Old Testament scholar.
All right.
Then the text says that God says to Ezekiel, can I find one person, just one, that'll stand in the gap and challenge what's going on?
That's right.
Then the text says that God said, I could not find one. And you would think that then the destruction was going to come. 15 chapters later, God says, Ezekiel, I think I found him. I think I found who can change this reality. There's a valley of dry bones over there.
Yeah, dry bones.
I want you to look at them. They beat up. They're hurt. They've been treated unjustly, and they've been treated so undignifiedly. They didn't even bury them. They just threw them over there in the valley. Now they look like they're depressed and they can't do anything, but they still have ears in their spirit. And he says, Ezekiel, can these bones live? And Ezekiel said, I don't know. God said, I tell you what, go organize. Can I make it real? Go launch a campaign. Go down in the valley where the poor and the broken and the hurt, and organize them, launch them, talk to them, let them know what they can do. And when they stand up, I'll put my spirit on them. Listen to this. And they will become a mighty army.
All right.
6,000 people can turn 15 million into a mighty army.
All right. That's army.
Or at least we can touch them and recruit them. And if we recruit all 15 million, we'll get 20%.
Okay.
And if we get 20%, it only takes 1% in Michigan, 3% in Florida, 18% in North Carolina, 20% in Virginia, 12% in Georgia, 1% in Wisconsin, 1%. Y'all hear me?
Yeah.
The number, the sheer volume of the power in a time when most elections are being determined by less than 3%. We must raise this army. And I know we will do it. Yeah. Forgive me, I don't like to lead, but I'm trying to take care of, I get an older man at this time. Every one of those speakers, y'all give them love, because it's hard to get up there and tell that story. It's hard to do that. Please sign up so we can mobilize this army. And especially here in North Carolina, we ought to have an attitude in North Carolina. We ain't taking it no more. We fought too hard.
That's right.
To win and beat back this voter suppression and all this other stuff for folk to take back what we fought so hard to win. It's time to do it. Yara, Freddie, the band, y'all know we got to do it with some music, though. We got to do it with some rhythm. Y'all think Nancy, I know Nancy, you didn't feel good, I could tell it, but you came out anyway and MC us. Thank you, Nancy. Y'all holler at Rob and Sangrita and all the folk that mobilize, raise your hand, all the folk that have been working hard, and William and Rodney and George. Come on, y'all give it up. Y'all give it up. And Hannah, all the repairs team, all the coordinating committee members of the campaign, let's do it. Love y'all. Take it care.
Yes. All right, we heard Bishop, right? So here's what I want you to do. With every demand in mind that is on that Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival site. And if you're not sure of what they are, you heard them all today, go to poorpeoplescampaign.org. And those demands are listed. Let's stay focused and let's stay together, right? So here's what I want you to do. We talk about collective effervescence in this movement. If you're still here and you're going to help take us out, bring it in just a little bit. We need your energy. Just bring it in just a little bit. When I say, can these bones live? I want you to say, here we are. Can these bones live? 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 Here we are. Is there an army? 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 Here we are. Now ain't no power like the power of the people, because the power of the people won't stop. What? Say what? Say it again.
Say what? Say it again. Say what? Can these bones live? Can these bones live? Can these bones live? Can these bones live? Where's the army? Where's the army? Where's the army? Come on, where's the army? One more time. Can these bones live? Can these bones live? Can these bones live? Can these bones live? Let's take this energy to the polls. Let's take it to the street.
Thank you.